is up, guys? DT Ninja here to bring you my latest Boruto discussion, The Curse of the Ōtsutsuki. Yo, this chapter was epic. This chapter was epic, and I loved it. I loved how we got, this interesting twist with the curse, and the future, the darker future, of Boruto, his fate. I really enjoyed this chapter, and it raises a lot of questions. So I want to, share my thoughts, share what I think that, what the curse might be. Also, what is this power that, he will awaken, later on. So let's get into it. I've split this up into three parts. First we're going to look at Gaara. We're going to look at Gaara and his son Shinki, okay, because there's something very interesting about this that I wanted to share. Also, we're going to look at, the Otsutsuki's curse, okay, referring to Boruto in this chapter. And then we're going to look at Sasuke and how, his outlook on everything, looking from the shadows and, watching Boruto, being in a similar situation that he was in as a kid, because he had the curse mark as well. Not the same curse mark, but is still a curse. So anyways, let's get into the discussion. The first part is about Gaara and Shinki. This part is very interesting because in this chapter we see Shinki is, almost, he's down, and he's like, how did Boruto, this low-level ninja, defeat such a being from another dimension so powerful? How is that possible? I don't even think I would be able, that's not something I'm capable of doing. And then, I like how the brother and sister, they're reassuring, if you had fought him, in a match, you would have won. So don't worry about it. And then Gaara's like, don't worry about how far he's going, start to walk on your own way and your own shinobi path. I love that. I love how, it's a great scene. But anyways, the point of this is to show that later, earlier in chapter 5, Gaara is protecting everyone. In the Chunin exam, it's interrupted by Momoshiki and Kenshiki, and they're attacked, right? And the actual stadium is crumbling, and Gaara's here, and he protects everyone. And right here, you can see Shinki and Araya's right here as well. But Shinki is about to act. He's about to go off and, attack these invaders. And then, he's like, Shinki, don't misassess your ability with the opponent's strength. And then he's like, these are foes you cannot handle. And he's like, yes, father. Okay, so that's the scene that we're looking at right now. Now, this scene is very interesting because this part, actually, when he says, yes, father, in the translation note, okay, on Manga Stream, it says foster father. It says written as foster father. Now, what it means by written as that is the kanji says foster father, but actually the words that are spoken are different. So it's kind of like a hidden meaning. That's why it's in the translation note. So even though it's father, it's written as foster father. Now, why would they do this? Like I said, it's probably more, like a hidden meaning. But at the same time, it does raise that question. Because it says right here, Chichi Ue, hi, Chichi Ue, yes, father. Now, I did look this up, and so I want to show you this scan, guys, because now you can see what I'm talking about and why they, don't match, right? So take a look. Alright, so hopefully you guys... It's like they're if you were to type those alphabets in, it'll say father. It doesn't say foster father. So that's why I raised this question. Now, the thing is, we can assume that it is his foster father. We can assume that Shinki is adopted, right? But here's the thing. In the movie, the actual film, okay? So I have the data book. Kishimoto leaves original sketches of Shinki, okay? And so I wanted to share this with you guys, and I translated this before, but I want to share it with you again because this kind of contradicts that he is, adopted. Now, here is the scan that Kishimoto did for the film, and you can see it right here. And the words here, I've translated for you, but I'm going to read them anyway. It says, Skoshi Gaara no imeji. Okay, the image of Gaara is a little, the image is a little like Gaara's. Okay, so in other words, he resembles Gaara a little, right? He resembles Gaara a little. So why would they say that, if he's adopted? You see what I'm saying? Anyways, I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to share with you guys. Take a look at the translation that I provided. All right. So as you can see, even him possessing the Kazekage's abilities of the Iron Sand, that's another thing. Adopting a child, I can understand that. But at the same time, why would they show all these prestigious things? He resembles Gaara. He's got powers, really, really strong powers, and it just makes you wonder more. Is Shinki his real son? But anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was interesting. Like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but it could be. He could be his real father, and maybe the other children are adopted. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's move on to the main part of our discussion, which is Curse of Ōtsutsuki. Now, before we even get into it, I want to share with you guys some scenes from Naruto that involve curses. So I want you to take a look at these, and these are some that are pretty memorable. The inner conflicts, and also the conflict between brothers of Indra and Ashura continuing through the generations. So anyways, now we're moving on to the Ōtsutsuki curse. Now, we're referring to this chapter because Boruto is now supposedly cursed. He's got a curse mark on his palm, the palm of his hands. Now, what is this curse? What is this curse? What is it? What is it? What power will he awaken from it? That's another question that should be raised. These are questions that I wanted to, further, discuss about. Okay? Now first, the warning of Momoshiki. So obviously Momoshiki is defeated, but suddenly Boruto sees an image of him, maybe a spiritual presence of him. It looks like a spirit to me, okay? Spiritual presence, and, he claims he's a god, right? He claims he's a god, so apparently, his spirit's still there, and he stops time. He says he stops time, and he refers to himself that he cannot, control his fate. He cannot see his own fate. So he was defeated, but he can see Boruto's clearly. Apparently, this is a power of his Byakugan. His specific Byakugan can see into other people's lives, their fate, but he cannot see his own. So that, his defeat, right? He cannot see that. But anyways, he says, those blue eyes of yours will someday take everything literally from you. Took his hand and absorbed his father into a pill that turned, technically it wasn't a pill. He turned him into the chakra fruit, right? And he ate him. So he devoured him, right? So this is an incredible power. But why are his hands? Why are the Rinnegan in his hands? Have you ever wondered? Because you could say, oh, well, he's got the Byakugan in his eyes, so he can't have Rinnegan in his eyes. But why wasn't it on his forehead? Why wasn't one on his forehead instead of, in his hands? Maybe the curse is that his power is in his hand, okay? Not just, having the ability to see through one's fate, but also so he devoured him, right? So this is an incredible power, but why are his hands? Why are the Rinnegan in his hands? Have you ever wondered? Because you could say, oh, well, he's got the Byakugan in his eyes, so he can't have Rinnegan in his eyes. But why wasn't it on his forehead? Why wasn't one on his forehead instead of, in his hands? Maybe the curse is that his power is in his hand, okay? Not just, having the ability to see through one's fate, but also the power in the hands, it gave him incredible powers, but it also gave him this curse. As we all know, he cannot see his fate, so he obviously ended up dying in the process. Now, like I said, he's probably a spirit now, and he's passed on, but now he's passing on this curse that he once had to the next one. And think about it. There are other series out there that has done this. For instance, Inuyasha. Okay, we all know Miroku, right? The monk, right? His father had a curse mark, right? From Naraku, right? And once his father died, right? It passed it on to him. So he has the curse mark. So I want you to take a look at this because this is very interesting. The thing about Momoshiki that I think is interesting is that he claims to be a god. Okay, he claims to be a god. However, he was defeated, right? He was defeated. Now, what if he is cursed as well? What if he was cursed? So he gained some incredible powers, but he was cursed as well. And maybe it's not just that he defeated someone, okay, or defeated a god as he said to Boruto, but maybe it was the tree, the divine tree. Think about it. The divine tree has, sucked away so many souls, so many, lives, taken so many lives, and, almost, corrupted the ninja world. We saw this with Kaguya, right? And how she's, all these sacrifices go to the tree. And obviously Kaguya, was kind of twisted, after that, So it does beg that question, did Momoshiki receive his godlike powers from, the tree itself? And we do know that he does unlock the Byakugan. And I was thinking that maybe it's not just, his sisters or Hinata's, like some people were thinking. I think that maybe, and by the way, I have it here for reference, that maybe, here is the Byakugan, by the way, that maybe that it's his own unique Byakugan that nobody has ever seen. I'm not saying Tenseigan, but something unique and maybe even stronger than the Tenseigan, okay? Something that is new, okay? Something new. But anyways, that's what I think that might be the curse. Boruto definitely will get a new power, awaken a new power, and this power will be a combination of Momoshiki's unique abilities and his own unique abilities. And like I said, he's a god, and that was his curse. So he got the powers of a god, but his curse, you know, was that he could not prevent his own death, right? He couldn't see anything. He could see other people's fate, but not his own, right? So that kind of is a curse in its own way, right? Okay, now, moving on to the last part, which is Sasuke. Okay, Sasuke. From the shadows is what I call it. So while this is going on, Momoshiki is there. He's talking to him. He's giving him the warnings. Sasuke is looking right at that area. So we know Sasuke is aware of this. Maybe he doesn't see him. Maybe he does see him. Okay? Anyways, he knows something is up. He knows something is going on. When Naruto says, what's wrong? He says nothing. And we all know that's not the case. Sasuke knows. Sasuke knows it. So, and we see it later. Boruto's standing on the Hokage mountain, and he's looking at his hand, right? He's looking at his hand. Well, Sasuke's off in the distance, right? Sasuke's off in the distance, and you can see him there. Sakura's not there, like in the film. Now, I think they did that on purpose because, Sasuke is the only one that knows. So I wanted to share this scene with you that I put together, and part of it is my coloring of Boruto at the end where he's looking at his hand. He's looking at the palm of his hand after he unwraps the bandage, and he's looking at his curse mark, right? And he has that look on his face, like a fierce look. I'm not saying he's, feels, the power, but if you look at that scan, when I colored it, even when the black and white, it looks like there's some kind of aura surrounding him. And so he's looking at it. Now, when I saw this, I was like, man, that looks familiar. I know I've seen it before. And it hit me. It hit me. When Sasuke was fighting Naruto, and Naruto pleads for him to come back to the village, and he says, my dream is in the past, right? And he knocks him in the water, right? He knocks him in the water. Well, he looks at his hand, the same way Boruto did. But instead, he says this power. It's incredible. It's the first time that he really felt the curse mark, and it's the second level of the curse mark. But anyways, the scene was so similar that I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. So I put them together. So the right side is Kishimoto's work and the left side is mine. So I wanted you to take a look at this scene because it was so interesting, especially now that Boruto wants to walk in Sasuke's path, follow the same path as Sasuke. So take a look. One last thing I wanted to talk about is the actual curse mark, the design of it, okay? Because a lot of curse marks have, specifics. And if you look at Orochimaru's curse mark, it's very interesting because it looks like the Sharingan Tomo, right, on his neck, which reveal, like an Uchiha. Well, if you look at this one, it looks like a diamond, okay? It looks like a diamond. And when I noticed it, I was like, okay, where have I seen that before? I know I've seen it. And so when I saw it, it reminded me of two things. First, it reminded me of Sakura and Tsunade's diamond on their forehead, which is their, their technique. So it could mean eternal, eternal, an eternal jutsu or something like that, but it's a curse, right? So it's not necessarily a jutsu. So when I saw that, it reminded me of actually another thing. It reminded me of Chibaku Tensei, okay? When Kaguya was sealed, okay? When the actual god, there is a god that actually uses the technique and brings his hands together. We see him, and you'll see the sun and the moon there. And when he brings his hands in, okay, he creates what looks like a diamond. Okay, now you could say, well, it's just his hands, right? Well, when it's colored, okay, by Shushia, it really looks incredible because you have Naruto on one side, which has the sun here, and then it has Sasuke on the other side because, you know, their hands come together, and it has the moon, which represents Uchiha, and, you know, sun represents Uzumaki, and then you got inside, you know, the diamond, and you have Sakura here. And now, when you're thinking about it, you're like, okay, so Sakura represents star, right? Because that's what a diamond would represent. But what if that god of the Chibaku Tensei, okay, what if that's a god, okay, and it's representing that symbol, okay? I was thinking about that, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy, you know, because it actually is like a Hindu or Shinto god or something. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a god to me, but wow, that I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to share that with you guys here. Symbols are there, and I even colored a version of it. Just made me think more and more. So this chapter definitely raised a lot of questions, and there's still a lot of, you know, things to, you know, to touch on. So in the next discussion, I will be talking about Kawaki and more about who I believe he is, you know, and more about the future with Boruto. So great chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion, and I will see you in the next one.